So I am here today with Mike Feldstein, who is the founder of Jasper and an air quality expert. So his background was in wildlife restoration, air quality consulting, and home remediation during enormous natural disasters. Mike started Jasper to innovate in air science and technology, and his goal is to protect air quality and improve human health using the latest in air quality science. I am a huge fan of his work. His product, I use it myself and have used it for, I think it's almost 5 months now. The way that it works, the aesthetics, the quality, the way that he runs his business, which you'll hear about towards the end of this. And if you stay tuned in for the whole interview, you will get the biggest darn discount and offer that Jasper has ever had. So I'm so excited to share this science and product with you. Let's dig in. Welcome, Mike. I am so happy for you to be here today. Thank you so much for taking this interview and enlightening us on how important air quality is. So excited to dig in today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
I love it. So I want to frame this as I almost feel like we put priority on reducing like the toxic burden and load backwards a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I think, we focus on, hey, we want to eat organic and hey, let's be careful what we put on our skin and the products that we use, shampoo and soap and everything. But I wanted to lay a little bit of foundational information and share with people. Number one, like as a clinician, we learn, listen, like the fastest way to get pollutants into our bloodstream is through breathing. So our lungs are very, very efficient at absorbing things because we have to survive on oxygen, right? So we absorb that oxygen through our lungs and we transport it directly through our body. So essentially what that means is our lungs can absorb 100% of toxins, or especially if they're small enough, pollutants, and immediately integrate those into our physiology, into our body. Whereas like skin, we only absorb 60 to 70% of things through our skin. Like our skin acts as like this protective barrier. Ingesting, we actually have a whole physiology based around trying to metabolize and detox all these compounds that are harmful for us. But our lungs, I feel like, are put on the back burner all the time in terms of people protecting themselves from getting exposure through air pollutants. I kind of wanted you to start, like you have a fascinating story of how you ended up in this sector. I kind of want you to share it with people.
I'm happy to do that. And just like on the prioritization thing, I actually heard a stat this week that 69% of all of the detox that happens in our body happens in the lungs.
Wow.
And that like the fastest way when you're getting a surgery and anesthesia or whatever, like the fastest, always through breathing is always the fastest way to do stuff. And it's just kind of symbolic of the way I think people live our lives. People are quicker to book a $10,000 or $15,000 retreat to try to go fix themselves in a week or two versus just making a teeny change that they could do every day, or like constantly making a task list and a to-do list. And people get addicted to checking off little meaningless boxes on their to-do list and overwhelming themselves with a very stressful life when really like it could be a lot more simple than that. There could be a few more. My best diet ever was, not eating after dinner and going for a walk every day. And like, as long as I do that, I'm pretty good. And then of course I can layer it up. But if I made my baseline, like I wanted to work out 4 times a week or 2 a days, and then that falls apart and now I'm left with nothing. So if my foundation is just like no bread and no food after dinner, it's like, wow, that got me a long way.
Right. And it's like we eat, 3 to 4 pounds of food a day. And I read a stat as I was prepping for this, that we breathe 11,000 liters of air every day. Like the comparison of where we're putting our energy to try and get healthy seems disproportionate. Like just breathing clean air makes that much more of a difference than eating healthy food. It's fascinating because, again, no one is emphasizing breathing clean air, or not enough people are. It's like low on the priority list.
We talk about our water, but literally breath work is more popular than air right now. Meaning we're thinking about, no one talks about eating and drinking compared to food and water. We're thinking about the stuff we're consuming, not how we consume it. And then with air, breath work and breathing gets all this attention. But like I call clean air step 0 in anyone's breath work journey. Otherwise, you could be huffing and puffing and hyperventilating and doing holotropic breathing and just pumping in mold and toxins and pollutants. Not a good idea. And I'll share my origin story, but just to kind of round out that stat there. So yeah, 2 to 3 pounds of food, 2 to 3 liters of water, 10 to 20,000 liters of air. 3 weeks you can survive without food. 3 days you can survive without water. 3 minutes you can survive without air. Very common, a family spending $2,000 to $3,000 a month as a family food budget is fairly normal these days. Between your grocery bills, probably $500 a week, and then a couple meals out here and there. Your water budget, people don't realize, but they're spending, could be $5,000 to $10,000 a year on water. When you add up your hydro bill from the city, that $7 Fiji at the airport, your Pellegrinos, your Perriers, your filtered water when you go for dinner, your pool water, your Olippops and your Poppies and all your alternative waters, flavored water. People's water budget is thousands. And then their air budget, the thing you consume most of, is like $30 a year. I changed my furnace filter. So,
and then they never think about it.
Yeah. So the focus and energy and investment relative to consumption. So I'll double click on it after, but there's some really powerful studies showing that the average human breathes about a credit card worth of microplastics every week. So everyone's worried about microplastics in your water, but
Right.
because you breathe so much more air than water, the study that the BBC shined light on showed 98% of all studies collected of air and dust had microplastics. 100% of all homes tested had microplastics. And basically they showed when they got biopsies, almost everybody had a lot of microplastics in their lungs. Now, they don't exactly know how harmful microplastics in the lungs are. We could assume it's not a great thing. And it's not about like, be afraid. This is another thing to worry about. It's that fact that like, there's a lot of stuff you can do. And
Right.
poor air outside is not nearly as big of a problem as poor air inside. The average indoor air is 5 to 10 times dirtier than the outdoor air, which is why you like nature. It's why you like going for a walk.
Right.
Because even a walk is nice on a cloudy day because you're literally going into an area where the air could be 10 times cleaner and your body loves that. So we just give it like a label, like it's stuffy inside or I like nature. But when you get in, what do you like about it? The way you feel. Well, if you close your eyes, you're not even seeing the nature. The only thing that's happening is you're breathing way fresher air outside.
And like it's the air's so much cleaner, it's so much more toxic inside, but we spend all day inside. Like
95% of the time.
Right. So again, I think this is such a valuable topic that needs to be talked about that I feel like is, we have to catch up. We have to escort people into this way of thinking because again, we're focusing on important things, but I think that this is such an important topic for people to learn about.
I love the saying that someone's Jasper, they called the Jasper the laziest way to be healthy.
Yes.
Because they're like, with food, it takes a lot of willpower.
Totally.
And you got to go to the gym and a lot of important parts of one's health journey. But the nice thing about clean air and clean water, like with usually fat, sugars, like addictive food is often harmful food, but there's nothing nice about dirty water or dirty air. So what I like is even for me, last night it was Halloween and we made some bad food choices last night. Me and my wife, she's pregnant. She wasn't feeling like candy. We were driving our golf cart home after retreating and she smelled fries. So we ordered McDonald's. We got delivery. We got some McNuggets. We got some fries. This probably happens once a year.
Right.
Our sleep score definitely took a hit. But I was like, you know what? I ate really bad today, but I drank really clean filtered water all day. I didn't have any alcohol. I had no pop or soda and I breathed really clean air. So then for today, I just had to clean up the food. But when every day my habits normally take a lot of willpower, I love when I could just do we're probably spending about $400 a month in filtered water here because we get the glass jugs from Mountain Valley Spring. We have RO, we have water softener. I feel amazing about my investment in clean water.
Yeah.
And, I have to pay for it just like everybody else. But wow, I feel it I don't feel it like an expense, like water costs money or air costs money or good food costs money or seeing a health professional costs money. I view it as investing in myself. So I put myself on my balance sheet And every time I spend money on good water, good food, my value goes up in terms of my health as opposed to my like expenses going up.
I love that. Absolutely love that viewpoint. And so true. Also,
So
your productivity goes up, just saying.
Yeah. So if anybody's in a sales role or an entrepreneurial capacity or can get their job done in less times or wants to get a raise or a promotion, when your sleep goes up, so by day, air is thinking fuel. It's literally the only, I'm not eating, I'm drinking a little water right now, but I'm not eating anything. So the only thing fueling this conversation from keeping me alive is the air that I'm breathing. If there was no air in this room, we wouldn't be talking right now.
Right.
At nighttime, air becomes your sleep fuel. So you're not drinking water, you're not eating food, you're not even getting sunlight at night. Literally the only thing sustaining you, your sleep fuel is your air. So when you go from like a low quality fuel all night long to high quality fuel, so now you're sleeping better, you're healing, you're recovering, and then all of a sudden it makes your ability to be more productive, have more energy, be more present with your kids, with your spouse. Yeah, just like energy. So background stuff. My background was in wildfire restoration, floods, mold, and hurricane cleanup. So not like we weren't the local guys that you could call to get us to come over and, handle your kitchen your little leak or your little flood. Nah, we were a traveling band. So we would go to wherever in the continent was the most destroyed. So recently, North Carolina and Florida got hit by some big hurricanes. So we would have been in those environments for like 6 months after handling heavy duty cleanup. Fort McMurray, Alberta wildfires in Canada, California wildfires, tsunamis, like we would handle the worst of it. And when you don't realize it, but when you're handling bad fire damage, you're also doing floods and mold because homes get water bombed by planes. So you have a house, which is now also totally flooded, also very structurally damaged because when the water from a plane lands on your house, your whole structure, the house is bent, and then your house has been, I've seen fish on rooftops many times.
That is crazy. I never would have thought of that.
The plane grabs all the water from the lake and then drops it. So there's seaweed, there's fish. You'll find like a fish in someone's living room after a fire. Like, what the heck? How did you get here? Then mold that wasn't tended to for weeks. So I would say I dealt with the gnarliest floods and mold after fires by dealing with water bombers. Wow. So just like stuff you'd never think about. Now I have also done at stages a little bit of regular floods and fires and mold. So I'm very well versed in that too. And I also did air quality consulting for about 8 years. So we were the ones where if you were sick at home, chronically unwell, but you weren't sure, then you go on this camping trip, this hiking trip, this vacation, you feel awesome. You're like, I'm healed. I'm right. And then you go home and you're like, I'm tired again. My energy's low. And then you think, you're like, oh, I just feel better on vacation. And that might be slightly true, but people have this aha moment, is my home making me sick? Yeah. We were the ones who would get that phone call and we'd go into your house and we were like the MRI for the home. We were looking for mold, for floods, the water quality, what asbestos, lead, bacteria, like anything that's toxic, VOCs, all of that. And then my job was to then give that family a plan on how do we go. It's like when you get your blood tests from a regular doctor, it's like, we'll call you if you have cancer. Like they don't call you. No one's striving for optimal. They're just striving for like, and what they call normal, you're like, wait, 20 years ago, that was considered obese and diabetic. You're just shifting normal based on average. But if everybody's getting sick, you're calling everybody normal. So the exact same thing that I'm sure you see all the time.
All day, every day. Yeah.
Is the exact same for the house. So like what would be considered safe levels of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and mold? What are they considering safe? So one camp says there's no safe amount of ozone. The other camp is like constantly raising the threshold of what is normal based on what's average. And when I was dating my wife 10 years ago, and she would say, I'm so weird. And I'm like, is that the opposite of normal? And is normal synonymous with average? So yeah, that's what I did. I was going into rough spots and I got to see how sick people were after fires, how sick people were after floods, how busy doctors' offices were, exasperated autoimmunes, asthma, respiratory stuff, all of the stuff was worse. And then we were using these industrial commercial grade air purifiers called air scrubbers, the same thing we would use for a toxic mold cleanup or a big wildfire, hotels, apartments, homes, like heavy duty stuff. And each of those machines was like equivalent to 10 or 20 little air purifiers.
Yeah.
But I remember some of my customers, after they moved back home, they unplugged them because they were loud and they were ugly. So these machines were amazing when it came to like cleaning the air. But the downside was they were super loud. They were super ugly. They weren't practical in an everyday house. On the flip side, all that stuff that you see at Best Buy, Walmart, Target, Amazon, they're cheap and they're cute and they're small, but they're ineffective and they're made from plastic and they won't last very long. So I'm like, whoa, these little air purifiers are like golf carts or Honda Civics. These industrial things are like tractor trailers or pickup trucks. I'm like, where's the Yukon Denali at? Where's the luxury SUV? I want to take my kids to school. I want to bring my stuff. I want to look good while doing it. So I realized the market was missing this like middle ground air purifier that was going to be commercially inspired, but beautiful and made for the modern home and people who would want the best air. So I did no market research at all. I just created the air purifier one for my family, for my wildfire customers. So it had to be effective. It had to be steel. It had to be beautiful. So yeah, all that background doing restoration led me to wanting to be more proactive and less reactive. And now here we are, we get to talk about air.
I know, right? And I've heard you give the analogy. I want to circle back to like the little air purifiers, because a lot of people I think buy those. Like they're cheap, they're readily available. You can pick them up at Costco or Best Buy. I've heard you give an analogy of trying to heat the comparison of those to trying to heat a bathtub using a kettle, and how little of like a tea kettle, how little of impact they actually have. Give that analogy for people so that they can understand.
Yeah. So think about a kettle. You want to make a cup of tea. It's a perfect tool, beautiful tool. You want to use the French press. You want to make some tea. The kettle is a wonderful way to heat under half a liter of water. Awesome. Maybe even a liter. But the reason, if you ever tried, and I have tried, to heat a bathtub with a kettle, but the hot water tank wasn't working and we wanted to use the bath, it doesn't work because the water is going to be cooling down faster than you can heat it up. You would think, I'll just fill it, dump it, fill it, dump it. No, you really can't. The water is cooling down at a rate that's faster than you can heat it. So even though the kettle is theoretically an amazing water heating device, it's not designed to heat the bathtub. Similarly, the water heater that's heating your bathtub and your showers couldn't heat your swimming pool. You need a different size, and the one that heats your pool couldn't heat the community pool. You need a different size tool based on the size of the job. So most little air purifiers, they are like kettles. So if you have like a teeny 8x8 room, like a tiny bedroom or a nursery, and you kept that air purifier running 24 hours a day on the loudest possible setting, then it will be very helpful. So like a teeny air purifier, $2.99, a little Lavoid, a Shark, a Winix, on full speed, 24 hours a day with the little bright lights on, it does something. Where it falls apart is it does nothing on any speed less than full speed because it's just way too small. So then it's kind of loud and annoying, and you can't rely on any of the smart modes because it would have to be on full time all the time. And because the fan and motor are very cheap, it's not like a very pleasant, nice, white noise, soothing sound. With Jasper, we used all commercial grade parts, very high quality. It's called the Nidec DC brushless motor. So it's supposed to be like a very soothing, it's more of a high quality sound as opposed to like a cheap little computer fan. It's a high end motor. So it can be silent in your bedroom and still move a lot of air. Or if you like a little bit of white noise, you can turn it up to fan speed too and have it operating like that. And the reason that it's also aesthetic, going back to the kettle analogy, you can go to Walmart and buy a $19 kettle. It'll probably be black plastic. I'm sure you could picture it right now. Big switch on the side. It's plugged into the wall. It may or may not have that little base thing, but it ain't going to have plastics in it. And now you're heating a bunch of plastics at high heat, and it's going to look horrible. So every time you're done using the kettle, you shove it in a drawer. Or, there's a kettle for $70, $80, $90, maybe $100. Maybe it's Restoration Hardware or West Elm or probably still Amazon still. and it's going to be glass or it's going to be black metal, and it's going to actually look quite beautiful on your countertop. And you're not going to hide it every time they use it because like it's functional decor. It's something that it looks like art and it's also effective. So I always explain, like, you can make a DIY air purifier for $200 that's better than almost every air purifier at Walmart. So, and often I encourage people that are on like a really low budget, DIY air purifiers are very good. There's one called the Corsi Rosenthal box. It's pretty effective. I'm actually working on a new DIY model myself that people will be able to make for even cheaper. The downsides are it won't have a modular fan, so you're going to have to run it on full speed all the time. So it's going to be a little louder. It's going to be a little uglier. But like
a lot uglier than a Jasper. I can vouch for that.
A lot uglier. So, but I would rather people get something that's effective, even if it's ugly, than does nothing for you.
Totally.
And much rather that. And, you know, there's also some effective air purifiers that are $500 and $600 that are pretty big and loud, and they look like they belong in space station. But so they're loud and they're ugly, but they're not effective. Where Jasper was designed for was somebody who wanted a machine that was really effective and beautiful and quiet and just has a filter twice a year. So it's like, it's not for everybody. And I really like to, like, last thing I would want is someone to think clean air is prohibitively expensive. It's not. It's if you want something that's kind of headache-free, maintenance-free, and looks beautiful, that's sort of where we come in, because that's what I wanted for my family, my friends, my customers. Yeah. So I heard this quote by a singer named Mike Posner on, he's had some really famous songs. And he said whenever he would try to make a hit song, he made a song that he hated it, and so did everybody else. So he said when he tried to make a song that he loved, that was creatively fulfilling, a song that he loved, once in a while, the whole world agreed. So the vision for Jasper is like having this restoration mold guy who still wants a well-designed home. I'm just going to make what I really want, and some percentage of people out there will want the same thing.
Totally.
That's what Jasper really is.
And that's enough for you. Yeah, I love it. And tell me, like, when we think about like indoor air quality, and what are the things that we aren't aware of that either A, release out toxic compounds that we're inhaling, or B, just like ones that we should be aware of, or things that we're doing that could produce them?
Great question. So I'll set the table with outdoor pollution and indoor pollution.
Okay.
And then I'll give you guys some free tips that you could do to implement some of those things right away.
Love that.
Outdoor pollution it's pollution. It's cars, it's restaurants, it's factories, it's the person using bounce sheets in your neighborhood or using toxic stuff in their home. And it's the rubber from the tires in the cars. And it's the glyphosate on your neighbor's yard. And it's 3 blocks away, someone's doing a renovation and the contractor's cutting 2x4s, or they're sealing their driveway, or there's road construction happening 12 blocks away. Like, even if it happens a mile away, it's still an air pollution problem and it's still impacting you. Your home is not separate from the outside air. Then in the indoor environment, we have all those outdoor pollutants in our house, also allergens, pollen and mold and cedar, all that. Now inside, we also have mold from leaks and high humidity, but then we have cooking. The biggest indoor air pollution thing by far is cooking. We have cleaning products, we have Lysol, we have Clorox, we have hairsprays, we have the poop from our diapers, you know, our baby's diaper. We have fire retardants and PFAs from all of and VOCs from furnitures, carpets, coffee tables, nightstands. You have formaldehyde in your bed. You have the paint, even if it's low VOC paint, there's still chemicals that allow that paint to bond and adhere to that wall. There's candles, there's incense, there's sage, there's pens, there's cooking oils, so there's pets, there's cat litter, there's pet dander. So it's really overwhelming. And like you said earlier, we spend over 95% of our time indoors. Now, the world's best air purifier is nature. It's the UV light from the sun. It's the rain. It's the wind. It's the trees. They have filtration systems. Their barks, when you hear about trees cleaning the air, it's actually their bark that works as the filter.
Really?
Just the way your HEPA filter has all the pleats. The bark is actually an incredible, so it's bringing in all the air, and the bark actually acts as a air filtration system, similar to the way that a regular filter does. So the best air purifier of all time is nature. Unfortunately, most of our homes, we left all that shit outside. So we have our homes that are like little Tupperware boxes. We have all of our outdoor pollutants. We have the indoor pollutants. We spend 95% of the time indoors, which is a curse and a blessing. It's a curse because that's way too much time inside. It's a blessing because we have this one environment that we can make our healthy, clean air, clean water, good lighting sanctuary for not very expensive. And we'll get into the specific talks. But have you ever heard of a term called zoochosis?
No.
Well, I'm going to make it a thing. So zoochosis is what happens to animals. It's specifically focusing on their mental health, but it's really the whole animal. Zoochosis, it's like psychosis, but it's what happens to animals in captivity. So the average elephant in a zoo only lives 17 years. The average elephant in the wild lives 55 years. Dolphins in the wild swim 100 miles a day. Dolphins in captivity don't swim at all. Whether you look at the monkeys, the birds, the primates, the reptiles, all of it. Animals in captivity are struggling. Yeah. They're dealing with dementia, anxiety, cancer, depression, banging their heads against the wall, autoimmune, chronic inflammation. I'm like, sounds a little bit like us.
Right.
So if you think about it, I call the subdivisions the zoos and our homes are the cages, or your apartment building is the zoo and your apartment is the cage. So we're spending 95% of the time indoors. All the same stuff that happens to animals in captivities is happening to us too. And we're trying to blame it all on the food. And I think the food is a part of it, but I honestly think if you were eating your same toxic diet and you were living in amongst the trees and the nature, you'd be doing a lot better. And the average prisoner in maximum security prison gets an hour or two every day outside for fresh air and sunlight, which means humans are actually closer to the zoo animals. Literally, prisoners in prisons get more fresh air and community and sunlight than the average American or Canadian. And to me, that's wild. And I share that in conjunction with all the stuff that's in our home, because everybody's worrying about, they have the big food budget, the water budget, and then you're busy, you're mopping, you're vacuuming, you're cleaning your surfaces, you're dusting. So this is the same as if you had a fish tank at home, and every day you'd scrub the glass bowl of the fish tank, but you never filter the water or change the water. Or if you have a swimming pool, it's like you have to have a filter system for your pool and pumps. You can't just scrub the side of the pool every day. So here we are in our homes with very polluted water or air in our case, and we're adding tons of chemicals to our little fishbowl.
Right. We're
scrubbing the perimeters with more chemicals, but we're doing nothing to ensure the water or air in our little fishbowls is clean. So I like to give that whole perspective of how we're living, what's going on, and how much of that is from our modern lifestyle inside.
Right. And it's like the other thing that's happening simultaneously as we're kind of devolving into this era of spending all of our time inside is we are making houses more energy efficient and sealing them up and closing them in so they can't breathe. I remember, so Mike came over to my house to install my Jasper himself, like the amazing human that he is. And he did some testing on my house. And he's like, you know what? Your house breathes pretty well. Like you don't have a ton of, I think it was carbon dioxide. Was it? Yeah. In my house. And I'm like, oh, is that because I have all these plants? He's like, no, it's because your house is old and it actually can breathe. And I think people are so excited about these new homes and energy efficiency, which comes with a slew of obviously benefits, but also we're locking all of the toxins inside.
It's a big deal. So when I was doing air quality consulting for a decade, as common as any other reason you get a call with people who are sick from their new home sickness. So
wow, there's a term called new home sickness.
Well, that's what I call it because it's a big deal. Think about that new car smell. You think it's a good smell because you've associated it with the sensation of
luxury.
Your new car. So you're excited. It's the leather. First of all, it's not just that. They intentionally make it a very fragrant experience. They're not dumb. They want you to have a smell associated with new car. So they don't let any of the materials off gas. It's off gassing into your lungs. Same thing with the home. When I was doing mold restoration and floods and fires and toxic cleanup, we were trained when we got certified to spray lemon deodorizer around the whole home on all the carpets, like this big pump bottle. Newsflash, there's no lemons in lemon deodorant, not one lemon. because we were taught if it smells clean, it must be clean. So this is why all the cleaning products you see, the shampoos, the hairspray, the air fresheners, everything is fragrant, because that way people think when the cleaning lady leaves, the maid is done, it's smelling fresh, she must have done a great job today.
Everything's clean.
Yeah, because it smells clean, we've trained ourselves to think that clean actually smells like neutral. Clean should smell like nothing.
Totally.
Clean should smell like you're on a camping trip. Maybe some pine, maybe some dirt. That's clean. It's the electrified air after a rainstorm. That's clean. It's all been washed away. Clean is not chemical fragrances.
Amen.
Yeah. So everybody's sort of trapped in these homes, tons of fragrances, tons of chemicals. And yeah, we were trained to add more fragrances to further create that smell for people. So in a new home, first of all, yes, it's tightly sealed. Since the 70s, we've been optimizing for energy efficiency. But the problem is energy efficiency comes at the cost of environmental health.
Yeah.
Because you are living in a tight little box. Yeah. And most of the materials in your home, let's say you buy a new couch. Got a new couch. So yes, it has fire retardants. Yes, it has coatings and all that chemical stuff to make adhesives, all that. That is made at a factory. And then the day that couch is done being made in the factory, it's instantly sealed into an airtight container. It's then shipped to some warehouse, so it's probably made in China. Then it will ship to America. It'll be on a boat for a month. And they ship it in the airtight stuff, so it's not capturing new odors and getting dirty. Makes sense. But then it's going to sit in a warehouse. Then you're going to go online or go to the store and buy it. It will ship to you in 2 or 3 months. But it only sits in the warehouse for a little bit, but it's been airtight wrapped from the moment it's been packaged. So the entire off-gassing process happens in your home. The manufacturing doesn't happen, and then they set it outside for it to breathe.
Right.
So every time, you're buying that crib for your baby, setting up that new nursery, you're getting that new carpet, that table, that couch, that whatever. All of that initial off-gassing is happening in your home.
And then the other thing too, after that, right, is so it off-gasses, and then the pollutants that are let free in our home then get absorbed by our furniture too. So it's like this cycle, right? And then they're re-released, and then we rebreathe them in.
The whole thing. So yeah, you have all of the off-gassing, the VOCs, etc. And then, they're trapped. So anything that's porous, as a general rule, anything that can get wet from water can absorb air. So shirt I'm wearing, it can absorb water. It could get wet. It could also really take on the smell of smoke.
Right.
Whereas, let's say like a piece of metal or your granite countertop, if you pull water on it, you could just wipe it right off.
Right.
So it's not going to absorb air either. Now, where there's tricky stuff, I only learned this from wildfire restoration. A lot of furniture like tables or IKEA stuff, the top is sealed and coated, but the bottom is MDF. It's rough. So I learned this. So when we were doing restoration, the insurance was like, yeah, you could keep that table. Yeah, but if that bottom wasn't sealed and it was MDF particle board, it's absorbed and it would be garbage. Even in your doors, often your whole door is like sealed with white paint, but if you rub the top of your door, it's unsealed. So that would be garbage after a wildfire or mold event because they absorb stuff. So yeah, you have this, and then you're cooking. So anything that's secure, carpets, insulation, couches, bedding, pillows, fabrics, they absorb everything. So in the new homes, you have all of the stuff, the new furniture, the new paint, the drywalls, the roofing material, all of that is there. So if somebody is moving into a home and they have the chance to let the windows sit open for several weeks before they move in, even after they move in, if someone's building a new home, if they can move in like spring or fall, or if they're in a temperate climate, and just let that house breathe a ton for the first month or so, or if baby's nursery, you're getting that done. First of all, I always recommend getting an old crib, a secondhand crib or a nightstand, so the off-gassing is already done.
Yeah.
But if not, get baby's room painted 5 or 6 months, and then leave the nursery door shut with the windows open as much as you can, so the paint and the crib and the furniture can off-gas. Last thing you want to do for baby's been in the womb 9 months. take baby out of the womb, put it in a bedroom, trap it in with VOCs, bunch of mold, poopy diapers. Like, come on, guys, what are we doing here?
Right. Right. So this kind of bleeds into the conversation of tell me like tips and tricks that people can do
Yes.
at home now, because those were like some great ones, but tell us some more.
Okay, we'll start from the baby's nursery. I have young daughters, so that one's always top of mind. But do not use a diaper pail. That's number one. Do not use a diaper pail. If you are using a diaper pail, those are for pee diapers only, and you should be taking them out very, very often. Because if it smells like poop, it is poop. Pretty simple rule.
Right.
If it smells like asphalt, it is asphalt. If it smells like garbage, it's garbage. Go back to trusting your senses. If it smells like sunscreen, it's sunscreen. Like when you see someone doing a thing that smells, it's not that it smells like that thing. It's you're putting that thing in your body via your nose. That's what smelling is. Like if you're smelling steak, you're inhaling it. And like just because you can eat something, and your digestive system can break it down. It doesn't mean your respiratory system, it doesn't have all the features of your gut to break things down. So your smell, if something smells bad or toxic, it's your body saying, please remove me from the situation. I made this smell not very good for you for a reason. And then, so in the poopy diapers outside, I wish I could tell you Jasper is the solution. It's not having poo in the diaper is the solution. We dealt with that with our family. We had that going on for a little bit, but I think every family that wants to keep poopy diapers in the bedroom has a rite of passage. Put the diaper pail in your bedroom tonight and see how you feel. See what it's like sleeping in a shitbox.
Have you tested the air, like with poopy diapers?
Oh yeah, of course it's bacteria.
Wow.
Well, how could there not be?
Right.
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense.
If we do like a bacteria culture in a baby's room, it's an infested environment. There's poop there. Of course it's nasty.
Wow.
In 2025, we're going to have a whole content arm all around like showing these studies in real time all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bacteria cultures in a bedroom are profound. Yeah, Jasper helps with the bacteria part a lot, but it won't help with the poopy smell. That's a powerful force.
Yeah.
So that's number one, baby stuff. Don't wear shoes inside. If you do a quick vacuum, a quick Swiffer, quick mop. If you can, like if the contractor's coming over, shoes get worn. But ideally, like have a big sign. And in Texas, where I live now, everybody wears shoes in people's homes. It is normal. So we have an ever increasing size sign on the front that's like, please leave your shoes at the door. And it started small and the sign keeps getting bigger. And it's funny, I actually have a friend, you might know her, Molly Eastman.
It sounds familiar.
She's in Austin. She's like Sleep is a Skill is the name of her pod. And when I went to visit her apartment in Austin, there's a mat, like a shoe mat outside in the hallway at the first thing across from her in the hall that says, please leave your shoes at the door. And then on their door, it's like what they said and pointing across the hallway. It's just really cool. I like that.
I love it.
So no shoes inside. And then improving like some of the source stuff, using the branch basics for cleaning or using vinegar and water, using lower toxic or no toxic hair products, skin products. Don't use sunscreen inside. Don't use aerosol sunscreen anywhere. Don't use the recirculate mode in your car unless you're using it for 2 seconds to go through a dirty area. This carbon dioxide detector that I'm holding right here, it's 550. Outside air is 400. If I put this in my car and I turn on recirculation mode, it's going to be over 3,000 in under 2 minutes. So why do you think you're so tired on that long road trip? Wow. Open the door. I need to open my window and get some cold air. It's not the cold air. You are choking on carbon dioxide and your body is begging you for some fresh air. So carbon dioxide is a big one. The range hood over your stove. I can't remember if we tested yours.
You did. Mine is a recirculator and you're like, McCall, that's horrible. It just recirculates.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Those are like a few areas that are like so worth it. It's not going to be for a very long time because I'm really focused on what we're doing now at Jasper, but eventually I will create a new range hood, a new vent for above the stove. So that way you won't even need a Jasper in your main living room at all. So how crazy is this? You need to turn your range hood on when you cook.
Right.
Why doesn't it have a sensor just like Jasper? So as soon as you start cooking, it automatically turns on. And if you're just cooking a little asparagus, the light will be maybe yellow and the fan speed will be on mildly. But if you're cooking bacon or steak, it's going to go red and it's going to be dumping air. And so we're going to eventually make a way better range hood that actually makes sense. We're going to make better bathroom fans too.
I love
so you don't have to turn the bathroom fan on when you shower. It's going to just have a humidity sensor in there. And if the carbon dioxide is high and humidity is high, it will turn on. If it's not, it will turn off. And they'll probably run for like 5 minutes every 2 hours just to do a little bit of an air exchange in your home.
Yeah.
So if you have a tight home, but you don't have some fancy air exchange system, you don't need one. So with all that said, do a tissue test. Make sure your bathroom fan and your stove, range hood, vent are actually venting. And then make sure they vent outside, not into the counter, not into the cabinet above, not into the attic, but actually outside. If they're not pulling the tissue, they're not working. Also, cleaning those once a year is a good idea. If you are boiling something or doing a stew, use the back burners, not the front burner, because the range hood captures a lot more, whether it's the gas or the particulate from cooking. The front burner is really only like half under the range hood, whereas the one in the back is like entirely under it. So the vent looks way better for the back one. When you're done showering and you leave your bathroom fan on, ideally for 2 hours, close the bathroom door so the humidity can be dumped out and not, filtered. If you open in the door, you're just kind of dumping the humidity everywhere. It's kind of like using that front burner on the range hood. Those are the big ones. If you have a dog, brush it more than you think you should, because your dog is basically a blanket. Would you ever take a blanket, go outside, rub it on the glyphosate-filled grass, rub it on the tree, rub it on the pollen, rub it on a dog's butt, then come home and shake it out on your bed? You would not do that. If you have a dog that's going outside, that's what's happening every day.
Wow.
Cleaning the paws, because 95% of people's shoes, if you just generally test 95% of shoes, there's fecal matter on there. There's poop on your shoes. Your dog's paws are no different. Wow. A little bit more hygiene for outdoor pets. You shouldn't wear your shoes inside, which means you should also give those paws just a quick wipe down before you enter the home. So the source is important. And then, of course, filtering your air. And then I'm the air guy, so I stay in my lane. But I believe a whole home water filtration system is a no-brainer. If you have hard water, a water softener. But if you're using reverse osmosis, this is horrible drinking water. It is horrible. Literally. And I use kids. I think kids have the best, just like deep intuition for stuff. So we went down, we were on the rabbit hole of drinking like LaCroix and Waterloo and Bubbly and Olipop and Poppy, all these like flavored carbonated waters and stuff. And I just like was never drawn to reverse osmosis. It was like a chore to drink it. Well, since it's like dead water, they strip out everything. Since we got really good spring water delivered, we only realized a month later, the kids stopped asking for juice. We stopped drinking and buying the Olipops, and we're all crushing like a few liters of water or a gallon of water a day. So the RO and the whole home stuff is amazing for showering, your skin, your hair, your bath. And then because you're not going to have chlorinated shower water, you're not dumping all that chlorine in your air. But for actual drinking water, the spring water can't be beat. So I'm not a fan of remineralizing water. It's a thing you can do. But I'm like, why would I take, it's like we had perfect water from the ground. The city just fills it with chemicals because they have to, otherwise it'd make you sick. So they remove the bacteria and replace it with chlorine. Then I have to strip all the chlorine out. Then I have to add back some stuff. I just don't want my water that doctored that I'm drinking. So if I can get it from a spring, I feel good about that. And then the other huge one, and it was so polarizing for me 2 days ago, we're trick-or-treating. I have these wonderful neighbors, Bob and Joyce. They're in their 80s. Our whole street is young families, and they're like the grandparents of the street.
Aww.
We'll walk in Austin's like a dark sky preserve. Where I live, there's no street lights, and most people's homes are dark. Yeah. But I'm walking by Bob and Joyce's house. It's 9 o'clock at night, and it looked like a zoo. Literally, bright fluorescent lights. So you walk by, like it felt like they were living in this artificial cage. I see the trees, I see the moon, I see the dark night sky. And then they're at their like kitchen counter, windows open, like on display, bright lights, like they were a friggin' bracelet at a department store. Just this bright light shining, and it was like really polarizing. You're like, wow, look, everyone does that. So we've been on a warpath here, and I used to be extreme, replacing all of our bulbs, getting red lights and timers and replacing the fluorescents. Honestly, didn't need it. All we really needed was a couple lamps in each room, and we just don't use overhead lights at night.
Right. And that is so triggering for me. Like immediately, if my husband has our overhead light on in the bedroom, I'm like, how can you live like this?
What the fuck are you doing, man?
Like this is crazy.
I heard it was a Huberman thing a while back, but just turning on the light in your bathroom for 1 minute to use the bathroom at night can affect your sleep for up to a week.
Wow.
Well, it makes sense. It's like you were meant, it's like, imagine it was like back in the day, other than like the only light you'd see at night was a candle or a fire.
Yeah.
All red hues. And you probably wouldn't even see it much in it except for the little candle. And then you just blasted yourself with daylight in the middle of the night. So your body is like, what did you just do? So just because it's a minute, you've really shocked your system here. So it's like, I think it's real. For me, a bright light at night, like it hits like trauma for me. Like it's
me too. I feel it. It's funny. Like other people don't feel it. I don't know if they're not tuned in or they're just not sensitive to it. But that is like, I'm so sensitive to that.
And probably once you start drinking filtered water, if you go get tap water at a restaurant, it tastes like chlorine. Totally. Once you start using non-toxic products on your skin and your hair, you start, and I do tell people, there's one really big downside about buying a Jasper. So there's one bad downside. It turns you into an air snob.
Right.
It really will. All of a sudden, you go to your friend's house, your family's house, the mall. Maybe before it was just Bath and Body Works and Lush that were nauseating.
Yeah.
Now the whole mall. Now you're going to smell speed stick on someone 10 feet away. When you all of a sudden start using cleaner products on your body and breathing cleaner air at home, people's normal air doesn't feel so normal for you anymore.
It happens with literally my 10-year-old daughter. Like we have our Jasper, obviously, and like she will go somewhere, she will smell something and be like, I can't even take it. It's like a parenting moment of pride. I'm like, yes, we've established this so early on. I want to tie in this conversation a little bit in two ways to thyroid hormones that I thought was fascinating and just like some studies that I found. So one was pretty interesting in Italy, and it looks at the rates of autoimmune diseases, including Hashimoto's and arthritis, and found a 12% increase for autoimmune disease with every 10, I think it's nanograms per meter increase in what's called PM10 exposure. So like direct correlation. And then that's not a 12% increase overall. It's for every amount of that exposure, it increases an additional 12%, which I thought was fascinating.
Do you know what particles are PM10 at all?
No, tell me. I would love to know.
So PM10 could be things from a construction site. It could be unpaved roads. It could be industrial emissions. However, it also includes dust, pollen, and mold spores. So,
wow. So stuff that we're exposed to every day.
Exactly. Now, the nice thing about PM10 is it enters our upper respiratory tract, bad part. The good part is it's too large to enter your bloodstream.
Okay.
So it's still very harmful, no doubt. PM 2.5.
Yeah, I did a lot of reading on that too.
And, PM 2.5 is it's 30 times smaller than a human hair. So this could be your vehicle exhaust, your wood burning, chemicals, wildfires, things like that. And these are tough because they go deep into the lungs and then bloodstream. And the funny thing is, the bad thing about them is, so they're more harmful than PM10 because of their small size and their ability to reach deep into lung tissues.
Yeah.
But they're too big. So stuff like PM 0.3 is so small that you're breathing it out. So PM 2.5 is that sneaky little size that's small enough to get in, but too big to get out.
Yeah. I found a study on that in JAMA that correlates it with cognitive decline and dementia, PM 2.5, which was fascinating. Like, and
it makes sense, right?
Right. And isn't one of the earlier symptoms of like exposure, like brain fog, kind of lower cognitive function? And then you think about that, that's like the warning sign. And then long-term, literally, it can cause dementia.
Yeah. So the short respiratory stuff could be coughing, throat irritation, brain stuff, fatigue, headaches, dizziness, lightheadedness, runny or stuffy nose, increased phlegm production, shortness of breath. But it's interesting. It's kind of like a car. If you buy a car, you go to the gas station, there's the 87, they got the 91. Sometimes they even have the 93 or the 94. And some cars, like, just take the regular fuel. It's fine. Then a high-performing car, and I'm trying to be a high-performing human, wants the best fuel it can. And what are the symptoms of bad fuel in your engine? If you have your Corvette or Ferrari, you put the cheap gas in it, it's not that the car won't start. It will start, but the engine's going to run less efficiently. It's going to have less miles per gallon. It's going to have less energy. It's going to maybe not sound as nice. The fuel won't burn as clean. Over time, it's going to do damage to the engine. So it's your air is your ultimate fuel source. And like, you can do a long fast with food and a pretty long fast with minimal water too. Try air fasting. Won't go very good. So
it's the one thing we can't fast from, for sure. One other thyroid study that I thought was pretty cool was PM10. And it said it's women that were exposed to higher levels of nitrogen dioxide and particulate matter, particularly PM10, exhibited lower levels of thyroid hormone production. So free T3, which is what I preach all day long, and free T4. So literally these chemicals are taking your thyroid hormone secretion and they are reducing them in real time, which again, fascinating. And like, if we put so much effort into how we eat and how we exercise and all these things in relation to thyroid and Hashimoto's, et cetera, it's the air that we're breathing all day, every day that may be this huge missing piece that even me as like a clinician needs to put more emphasis on,
Yeah, it starts with us. So on the women's health and thyroid health piece, it's also, we breathe in a lot of heavy metals as well.
Mm-hmm.
And heavy metals are a big problem. So in some of my notes here, it talks about how air quality in thyroid health, especially for women, it's because of the thyroid gland's sensitivity to environmental pollutants. So a few of the things is you have your hormone disruption, heavy metals, mercury, lead, and mercury is happening from wildfires. It's happening from the decaying of rocks. It's just everywhere. Wow. Then you have your autoimmune thyroid conditions, metabolic health and weight, because PM 2.5 exposure is linked to thyroid hormones, which can slow down your metabolism, as well as, good thyroid health being essential for fertility and pregnancy and fetal development. So then that gets massively impacted. Yeah. And then, just generally, because of the thyroids, and obviously I'm not a health and body expert, I only know this stuff from air. I don't get to see that side of it firsthand, but I understand that if thyroid health is incredibly linked, it's very sensitive to environmental health. Mm-hmm. So we have a ton of pollutants overwhelming our abilities body to heal. So I call sleep healing time. I found sleep to be a negative word in the house. My kids are not excited to go to sleep.
Right.
I'm not excited. I like life. I like day. I like energy. Sleep sounds like I'm hitting the off button. It kind of has a negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
Whereas healing time is like, let's go. It's like a sauna. It's like a cold plunge. I'm doing my 8-hour wellness routine. I'm going to go do some healing now. If you're sick, you don't usually heal during the day. The next day, you're like, I hope I healed last night. So if sleep is healing time, and if the only fuel for your sleep is air, that's why I call air healing fuel and sleep fuel. And if the average bedroom has about 1 million to 2 million particles floating around between 0.3 and 10 microns, if we start filtering our air in that bedroom, we reduce the pollutant load by 95%. So there's in our human body, and every hotel I go to, I test the air and I make videos. Mm-hmm. I can usually go from 1.7 million particles to about 200,000 in the first 20 minutes.
Wow.
So it's instant. And now our body, because your body is playing defense, you can handle pollen, allergens, mold. You're good a couple hours a day when you go outside, when you go for a walk. It's the 24-hour beatdown. It's like we can handle like work stress. We can handle life stress. But when it rains, it pours. And when it's 24 hours a day, so you're at night trying to have your healing time, but you're breathing in mold and allergens and pollen and toxins and smoke. So your body's like, yo, can you leave me alone so I can enter healing time? Because it's playing defense. And then if it's playing defense to keep all those foreign toxins out, it can't actually do its healing process.
Yeah.
And if you keep all the other stuff out, you heal, then guess what? During the day, you can handle a little pollen, a little smoke, a little mold, a little bright lights at the office. You're not that sensitive. Like, we're robust, tough human beings.
Yeah.
It's the 24-hour beatdown that really wears on us.
And and if we're going to be in one place for 8 hours doing nothing and can literally let our Jasper do its thing and reduce the overall burden so darn much, it's an easy way to make some impact.
It's so cheap. Clean air. So $1,000 air purifier, expensive. A $10,000 water filtration system, expensive. However, look, you could own that water filtration system for 10 years. So we're looking at $3 a day for whole home, clean, filtered air, filtered water. Let's say a $1,000 air purifier, expensive, but let's say $2,600 with all the discounts and bundles gets you 4 Jaspers, or a little over 2,000 gets you 3. So for under $3,000, you got 4 Jaspers. So now you have a whole home air filtration system, even with your filters. You're talking $3 or $4 a day. So you're talking for under $10 a day, which is like a Starbucks. You can't even get a Subway sub for $10.
You can't hardly get a Starbucks for $10 at this point.
The cake pops are $4 now.
Right.
So McDonald's is like $50. Like, it's crazy. So we're talking $10 a day. And when you got a lifetime warranty, so for $10 a day, and you could even get some for, $1,000, you could probably put a couple of good lamps in almost every room. So, to get your whole home set up with clean air, clean water, clean lighting, it's maybe about $10,000. And then we're looking at under $10 a day forever to have my house be the air and water sanctuary. I used to think about air purifier and filtered water is very expensive. It took me a long time to pull the trigger. Also, when I realized, I'm like, whoa, a $10,000 mortgage on my home. It's like, I was going to drop $20,000 on a bathroom renovation when my bathroom worked just fine. To have a prettier vanity for some Instagram pictures and for I feel better. It's like, whoa, for less than a price of one bathroom reno, my full family's going to have clean water and clean air. So it really took a shift for me. My first 50 podcasts I never even told the world Jasper existed. I didn't even mention it one time because it felt expensive and it felt bad to tell people about solutions. And then once I invested in my own water and I started to buy primally care skin products and buy better cleaning products, I have to pay for all the other stuff too. And I'm like, honestly, my money's going to go somewhere and I would rather go into clean air, clean water, clean food than crappy food and Starbucks and sugar. And when I just took and I looked at what I was spending in a year, I took budgets from the bad stuff to the good stuff. And when those four glass jugs of water show up every 2 weeks, I feel amazing.
Right. Yeah. And I think, again, like in this conversation, I think air has been left out of the conversation of improving your health and your health span too much. Like, when clearly it is even the most important aspect of this. And myself personally, but also professionally, being guilty of, neglecting it too much as well. So I am so glad we had this conversation.
You are what you breathe.
You are what you breathe. Yeah. And we breathed all darn day. So let's make it good.
If you breathe in stress, you will feel stress. That's why breath work is so effective. Just hearing someone go, relaxes everybody in the room. And what made that sound? It's just air. So what I've done for your audience today, just, at Jasper, you cannot find us at Best Buy or Walmart or Home Depot or Amazon. And there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, we have no control out of giving people discounts. We would not be able to speak to a health conscious audience. And if we're going to raise air consciousness and raise air awareness, we need the early adopters to clean air to be people who understand health and know how to educate their friends, their cousins, their family, and get the word out. Also, because of the way our lifetime warranty works, I'm very proud of it, by the way. If someone has a Jasper that breaks after 4 months or 4 years or 8 years, it doesn't matter. We ship you a new Jasper the next day. You take the new Jasper out of the box. You put the old Jasper back in the box, give you a prepaid UPS shipping label, and we schedule UPS to come to your front porch and pick it up. So I hate when I have a product with a warranty, I have to have some crazy, do I have the box and the receipt?
Do you have the paper receipt?
I do not hoard boxes. I did not print out the receipt. if I kept the box for everything I own, my house would just be a hoarder house. I don't have the box. And then they want me to do videos and photos and sit on hold in customer service for half an hour. Even iPhone, it was a great warranty. They pre-authorized my credit cards to like $1,500. So we don't pre-auth credit cards. We just send you a new one. We prepay the shipping. We book them to come to your house. I don't like having to go to FedEx and wasting half a day to return a product. And then a month later, maybe the new one shows up and the shipping costs as much as the thing. So our belief is if someone's Jasper breaks, if your Jasper breaks, that's our fault. That's not your fault. It shouldn't break. That's why we can afford to have a lifetime warranty. So I'm very proud of that. So what we've done as a product, why does most air purifiers have a 1-year warranty? If you think about it, no company wants to have a 1-year warranty. They would sell way more if they had a 3 or a 5 or a 10-year warranty. It's because they literally think their product is going to break after a year. They have no confidence. It's called planned obsolescence. Most companies are making products where you'll have to replace it every 2 or 3 years, instead of just making something so good that people will use for a lifetime. So we've built Jasper to last 30 years. So we're expecting we're going to have to replace everybody's every 20 to 30 years. So if you buy it for your kid's nursery now, they're going to take it to college.
Right.
Or they put it in their kid's nursery. So what we're going to do, this episode comes out today, November 11th, and has an early Black Friday because we're going to be sold out like months.
Right.
Real Black Friday.
We actually had to wait to have this podcast so that you weren't sold out because you had been sold out for so long.
And we might be a little sold out when the podcast comes out today, November 11th.
Right.
But it'll be like 2 or 3 weeks. It'll be something reasonable. But this is the biggest offer we've ever had at Jasper. So it's $400 off is the code. And if people buy, that's just, even if you buy one, it's $400 off. If people are buying 2 or 3 or 4, they save bigger discounts the more that they buy. So 2 is an additional 200, 3 is an additional 450, and 4 is an additional 800. So the savings get huge. And then the filter is changed twice a year, but basically, and that includes your lifetime warranty. So basically for a little over $1 a day, once you've invested in Jasper once, you get clean air for life. So starting today, November 11th, until November 18th, it's a 1-week offer for your most loyal listeners. So code McCall, MCCALL, code McCall, MCCALL, is $400 off at our website, jasper.co. And that's no E. So it's JASPR.co.
Yeah.
And I was mentioning, guys, opening your windows when you cook, use the vents, keep your shoes at the door, try to get better products, consider lamps instead of overhead lighting at night. Look at filtering your water. Something is better than nothing. There's a lot of options out there. So at the very least, I hope that your air awareness and air consciousness grew a little bit today. But for anybody out there who's like, you know what, I want Jasper, I want an air purifier that's beautiful. Today's the day, this is the week. Code McCall is $400 off from today, November 11th until November 18th. So I hope more than anything, you guys learned something, but if this offer helps, even better.
I love it. I'm actually going to go buy more for my own house. So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for creating this product, which truly is so impactful in health for thyroid people and beyond. And yeah, I appreciate your time. I'm excited to share your message.
Thank you for helping. I could not do without you.